Hello, welcome to the Courage to Be Visible podcast. This is a podcast for heart-centered entrepreneurs who are done hiding in the shadows and ready to step into the spotlight. I'm your host, Andrea Stenberg. I'm a video marketing strategist, and I'm a big believer in being your true self is your marketing superpower. Each week on the podcast, I have the privilege of being able to sit down with interesting, amazing entrepreneurs who have interesting stories about how they are authentically using their voices and building businesses that serve, inspire, and change lives. So if you're ready to grow your business, attract more of your perfect fit clients while making a bigger impact in the world, you're in the right place. Consider this your permission slip to be seen, be bold, and be unapologetically you. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with Mary Knippel, who is an author, speaker, and soul story mentor who blends over 40 years of journalism and intuition, helping women awaken their soul story and wisdom. Mary, thanks for joining us.
Oh, good morning, Andrea. I'm so delighted to be here. I
So I just,
can't think of
I sorry, I just have to say, I have to dive in. I want to ask you, like, what do you mean by soul story? What
and
does that mean?
I think the synchronicity of what your focus is and what my focus is just splendid. And what I mean by soul story is that there's something that we were born with that's laid on our soul, that we have a message for the world. And oftentimes that has been something that has broken our heart. And in fact, it broke us open to who we were meant to be. And my mission is to help women recognize what that story is, to discover it and craft it into the message. And that's how they connect with who needs to find them.
Okay, so this is as much personal as it is business. Is that
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Because we wouldn't be doing the business we do if it wasn't personal for us, if we weren't passionate about it. And when when I've had, certain business people who would say, "Well, don't talk about yourself when you're talking about your business." It's like, how can you not? That's your why. That's the whole reason that you're doing what you're doing. And otherwise, it would just be a job, and you would just forget it when you went home. And for those of us who this is our whole world. This is why we eat, sleep, and breathe, is so we can make a difference. It's all together. There's no
Yeah, I,
separation.
I, I agree. And I know, like, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who had a corporate job, there was one woman I spoke to who was a tenured university professor, and they leave safe, profitable, in some cases enjoyable jobs to start a business that is their passion. So I agree with you. Like
Hmm.
like there's that myth that it's just business, it's not personal. But I think for a lot of us, the two go hand in hand. So how does uncovering your soul story, what impact does that have on women?
That helps them own who they are, own all of their life experiences and the challenges that they've met, the way they've coped, the choices that they made, and it molded them into who they are, and that they are not only compelled to do something different, they could not do anything else to be able to live with themselves. And that's sometimes it feels like, well, it's kind of random what happened to me, and I don't believe that. I think that we have so many things that we don't recognize the connection until we go, oh, that if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And that's part of your soul story. We have many soul stories, but there's one that leads us to the next, to us opening up to the incredible beings that we are.
So if you're telling you've got your soul story and you're telling that as part of your marketing and your why of your business, how is the soul story different than just kind of regurgitating your entire life.
The hero's journey and the
Yeah.
origin story, they are similar in the fact that you're talking about, here's one instance that happened in my life, and I made changes. And the way the soul story differs is that it's so integral to who you are and your whole DNA, that it's not just this happened to me and now look at, I can help you with this. It's, you can start with a statistic. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And I get passionate when I talk about finding your soul story. And it's happened to me 3 times. So then it goes from being a statistic to being, there's a person in front of me. There's a whole being. I can see her face. And there's a connection that's deeper than, yeah, recite the facts and then buy this. It's, you have a person to person connection and you want to lean in and, how did you do that? And offer, and the result is you're offering hope to somebody else, that they can make a different choice for themselves. They can rewrite their story. They observed a life experience that has shifted them from where they were just tolerating things to rewriting the stories, like, I'm going to change this. And then they choose joy. This is how I am compelled to be for the rest of my life.
Wow.
So that's how the soul story is light years away from just an origin story or the hero's journey that takes you from the depths to, because it's your story.
So if I can just sort of dig deeper and see if I understand this, is you're talking about, so it's bigger than just, oh, the that turning point or the hero's journey or something. It's something a little bit deeper, and it's really as much about like connecting with another person than it is just about convincing them to buy from you.
Yes, because in the long run, we we're all individuals that are craving to want to know that we matter. My mission is to help women know that their stories matter because it's their story. It's a story that only they can tell because they know it from the inside out. Nobody else does. Nobody else can tell it, and no AI bot can repeat your soul story. Because
I love that because I do think that like there's so many people that are using AI to write all their marketing and everything's starting to like just seem really bland.
Mhm.
And yeah, I like this idea that your soul story, that's yours, it's only yours. And people know when they hear something that's truly authentic, they feel it in a way that you don't feel it from the
Yeah,
AI.
it is emotional because AI cannot go in your memory bank. It does not tap into your creativity. It can regurgitate a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's useful, but to start out with, to really get to the core of who you are and why you're doing what you're doing and who you're here to impact, that's got to come from you.
So when somebody's trying to figure out or develop or put together their soul story, what's the process? What does that look like? If I came to you, Mary, and said, I need to figure this out. How does that work?
Well, because I have a background in journalism, I love to ask questions. But the thing about me is I'm very intuitive as well. And so I will start out asking you questions that have you go, nobody's ever asked me anything like that before. And then when I know we're really cooking, it's, you'll say, I've never talked about this before. Then we're getting to that story that has been waiting for the opening, the invitation for us to go deeper with something that your subconscious, your soul has been holding on for you until you were ready to own it and explore it, and you trusted the environment that you could be visible with it. You had the courage to say, this is something that I want to talk about.
It sounds like this could also be like a very emotional process to
Oh,
dig
yes.
into the soul
Oh,
story.
yes. I cry. I've been known to sit with somebody who cries when they have this revelation, and it's emotional. There's no way. I mean, I will start tearing up when I'm writing in my journal because I'm going a little deeper with something that it had been writing around, and then it's like, oh, this is what I really wanted to say. And that's absolutely amazing when you get to know yourself better on that level. And that's why journaling is the first thing that I will encourage people to do is sit down for 5 minutes. You will be amazed at how much you can pour out in 5 minutes, and just and ask yourself the question, what does my heart want me to know today? What does my soul want me to know today? And start the timer and just let your longhand, always longhand, because you put yourself, your brain goes to a different place when your hands are on the keyboard. It's longhand. You slow down and your thoughts can get to the page.
Yeah,
And
I definitely feel like when I've got pen and paper, it's a different part of my brain is working and it's more creative than like keyboard is the logic,
oh yes,
hand and pen
you're
is
already editing when
creative.
your hands are on the keyboard.
Yeah. So if somebody comes and they're trying to develop their soul story, like is this something that you do in one session? Is it something that takes a long time to develop?
It varies person to person. Some people have been writing in a journal for a long time, and they have a lot of content that needs needs to be distributed and crafted and refined. And other people is like, I don't know, I wouldn't even call myself a writer. And for those people, it's like it won't be a one and done. It's a process. So the beautiful thing is that everything you create on the page, then that's yours. And you can put it in little bits and pieces. You start out with something on your website, on your blog, and then share it on social media and gain a following and gain visibility. You can be part of a co-author book. You can put out your own ebooks. You can and or have a newsletter that you send to a list. You can have a way that you participate in other groups, that you submit articles. Now, you decide how big you want to go with this, but first you have to narrow down, okay, who am I speaking to and what is the message? What is my core message that I want people to know after they've read anything that I'm sharing? Because the essence of our core message is in everything that we put out there, because that's the overall theme. My message is that your story matters, and no one can tell your story from the inside out except you. And your voice is needed in the world. Not just it's a nice idea. No, there's somebody that needs to hear from you. Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think like that's why like coaches, for example, like most coaches have a very similar process, but why does one coach speak to me and another one not? And I think this is what you're talking about is
Because
that's the key. It's the soul.
it's
Their soul story is what I
and
wanted
it's
to hear, needed
personal.
to hear.
It's not business. It's personal. You have to have that oh yeah, she gets me. She really sees me and understands what I'm trying to accomplish. She will be an ally, not and a catalyst for me. Not okay, you follow this, you do this, you do this, here's the system, and then I'm done with you. Move on.
Yeah,
Because that is the key ingredient. It's personal.
I love that. Do you ever have anybody come to you and say, I don't have a soul story? like this was just practical for me. Does that like,
Oh, yeah, I had a client whose business coach said, you need to be blogging, this formula that you're using is just it feels like we have the ingredients, but it's just not gelling. and and when I explained to this gal, it's just like, okay, you gave me a blog about going to a BNI meeting. Great. But it and you gave me who your speakers were. That's great. But you didn't put me in the room. I didn't feel like I was there with you. And that people need that. They need to know that they're included, that they're, this little presence that is just somehow there, So I've been to a lot of meetings like that where they could be serving coffee in a styrofoam cup, or at the back of a bowling alley, or you could be at a country club where you had white tablecloths and waiters were pouring in china cups. Put us in the room. And those are the details that really help people have that deeper connection. They recognize themselves or the possibility. And like when I was saying the the first two times I got form letters saying you had an abnormal mammogram, I put that in my stories because people resonate. It's like, who would want to get a form letter saying something like that? Well, nobody does. So that's why, I became an advocate for myself and said, I want a phone call. I want somebody to tell me the results of my last mammogram. So those are the kind of things that help people really go deeper with their connections and help their readers, their audience see and feel that they
so
are
yeah, so it's
there
sort of like what you
for
were
them.
describing, the difference between is if somebody had the minutes of a meeting and they're just going like, this happened, this happened, this
Yeah.
happened, versus what did you feel? What did you see? What did you taste? Like all
Yeah.
those those journalism, like who, what, why, where, when, like all the
Well, yeah,
senses.
the bullet points as opposed to, painting a picture, setting the scene, and really bringing your reader, your audience into that scene with you. They feel connected.
So do you have like any kind of interesting story of somebody who has taken their soul story and really like run with it?
Oh yes, I mean I've several of the gal that comes to mind is I met her when I was doing a speaking engagement probably almost 10 years ago now. And she was just like, I liked what you said, but I don't know how I could ever do that. And we've started working together, and yes, it's been a journey for her, but she recognized that, oh, I have I have a story. I have a big story that the the women who I've known could really learn from. And when I talk about how I've learned about me by really writing about not just what happened, but how I have evolved from what happened. And since then, she's started being an advocate for an organization that is close to her heart. She's become an author in the co-author book, and she's writing a solo book. And creating a business around it where she goes out and speaks and does workshops. So when you start with it's possible for me, you offer hope for a lot of other readers and audience members who identify with I could do something different. You offer them hope.
That that's really inspiring and amazing. And I do really, I totally agree with you. This idea that like your story is the thing that makes you different, and people need more of that. We need more connection with human beings, not connections with robots.
Hmm.
So if somebody's listening to this and they're saying, okay, I think I need to figure out what my soul story is and I want to know more about Mary, where can people find out more about you?
Well, they can absolutely go to the website, maryeeknippel.com/contact, and they could get on my calendar. We can have a conversation, a soul story activation session where we talk about your next steps. What is the soul story that's laid on your heart, and how can I support you in finding that? Because I have a variety of programs that could be right for you. But I'd love to have a conversation with you.
All right. Well, I think that's amazing. I will have that link in the show notes if anybody wants to go and hear more from Mary. Mary, thank you so much. I love this conversation about the soul story. I think this is a really powerful idea that more coaches and course creators and anybody who's like us, who are like, we have a mission, not just a business, needs to listen to. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate you, and you are doing wonderful work in having this podcast and getting the message out there.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Courage to be Visible. I hope today's conversation sparked ideas for your own visibility. If it helped, please share this episode with a friend. Follow the show and leave a quick rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps. For links, show notes, and free resources to grow your visibility, head over to the show notes or visit my website. See you next time.